First item on the agenda is consider approving minutes held from November 13th.
I'll make a motion we approve those minutes and sign the warrant.
Motion made, second by Bob, all in favor? Thank you. Next item is discuss the dangerous building on Oak Street.
I've got our code enforcement officer, Dave Savage, here to have this discussion with you. Dave.
Hopefully it's on Smithfield Road, but that's actually where it is, on Smithfield Road, not Oak Street. Must stand up so I actually see you guys, so whatever back of Nate's head. The dynamics of this whole dangerous building has actually changed over the last week. This is a trailer out in one of the trailer parks. The person that owned the trailer last week was not the property owner. So if you look at the letter I left in your boxes last week on this dangerous building form, it shows two different people. Since you got this last week, Mr. Shiot actually signed the trailer over to the Davises. Initially, I served both of them because he was responsible for it, and so were they because they were the property owner. Davises have been served by a deputy saying it is a dangerous building, and she is aware of this hearing tonight. Mr. Shiot has not been served because he is no longer involved in it. Since the Davises took ownership of it, if you look at some of the pictures, is a group of like 5 or 6 pages I give you. This is from a couple months ago when we started the dangerous building with these guys because the roof's caving in. It's inhabitable. You can see one picture shows some dead rats in the yard. Other picture shows the inside where the roof's caved in. And the very last page, I got this email from Mrs. Davis today that indicates she's aware and agrees it's a dangerous building, and she's in the process of actually tearing it down. And if you look at the next group of pictures, there's only 2 of them. I took them today because they have actually started tearing it down. When Mr. Shiot was there, he wasn't interested in doing anything to resolve the situation. That's why we're here tonight. So the board's option is we can look and see if we can all agree that it's a dangerous building and sign this finding of facts, which will give the Davises 30 days to remove it, which they've agreed to do. Or you can do nothing with it. My preference, if we can, if you guys agree that it's a dangerous building, if we could sign off on that, and the reason being is so we don't start this process all over again if for some reason it doesn't get removed. Mrs. Davis told me several times she is definitely going to remove it, and they did start today. Like I said, if you look at the 2 pictures, you can see where the front 10, 12 feet of the building's actually already been removed today. So she is in the process. I think between the pictures, it pretty much shows it's a dangerous building. Like I said, the roof's caving in, the door doesn't close. That's why I got a picture of the door open. It doesn't close. I do believe what water's in there is all froze up. And he hasn't been living there for over a month.
I know that a couple of you have driven by and you know which building we're talking about. Maybe all of you have. And you know, this is something that I mean, Dave's been working hard to clean properties up and stuff, and this isn't going to be the first one of these that you probably see. So I think it would be a good idea to get in the habit to start enforcing these so that we can start getting some of these houses that are a problem taken care of around town. The ones that Dave's pretty much going after right now are the ones that aren't occupied, the vacant buildings. And I have a copy here if council doesn't have any questions to sign, and if you have any questions. And
Is there any cost to them if we sign this and they're taking the building down anyway? Is there any?
There's no additional cost. This is basically our guarantee that we're going to enforce this action. By getting the council to sign it. And so if Dave has to go further with it.
But if they continue to take the building down, there's no cost to them if we
Correct.
go this route.
And what this allows the town to do is if for some reason they decide not to, in 30 days we can remove the hazard and we can actually put a lien on the property for whatever costs are associated with the removal of the building.
I move we sign the letter.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor? Don, I'm sorry, my apologies, I thought you were.
I might have missed it, I apologize if I did. Is this part of the trailer park now?
It is now, yes.
Has it been?
Prior to last Thursday, one person owned the trailer and the property owner was the Davises. So what the Davises have taken ownership as of last Thursday.
So it's on leased property, basically, the trailer is...
Thursday, yes. Today,
Yep.
the Davises own it.
Okay.
Now all set? Motion's made, second, all in favor? Thank you. Sorry about that, Don. Thank you.
I'll just have you sign the back of that, and Jen, you'll have to notarize that at some point.
Okay.
Next item on the list is to discuss the COLA.
Yeah, we're at that time of year. We're getting ready for a budget season, and Yeah, did I give that to you? You gotta,
You need a copy of it?
I have a copy of it, but I must have handed it out.
I've got an extra one if you want it.
I have extra.
I sent my copy on, thank you. So Doug's not going to be here for this discussion. As you can see, the Northeast CPI this year came in at 1.8%. And we're hoping that the council sees their way to bring that to a 2% COLA for employees this year. We're trying to move everybody up in pay to get everybody at average. I mean, as you know, we lost 8 employees this year. 6 of them were higher wage paying jobs with other towns and private business. And we need to get competitive. 8 employees is 25% of our workforce. It was huge. I've never experienced anything like that before. So, any discussion? We'd like to go and talk about it?
I'd make a motion that we have you bring us in a budget with a COLA of 2% like we have in the past, and we'll look at it and see how the rest of the budget looks. So I'd make a motion, you show us a budget with 2% in it to start.
Okay.
Mr. Bowman?
Second.
Mr. Bowman seconds. All in favor? Next item on the list is third-party request discussion.
Mike and Don are part of this subcommittee that we put together so that we can look at some way of streamlining the process on third-party requests. We kind of tossed around several different ideas. It kind of boiled down to the fact that maybe what we would do to start things off is generate a summary sheet for our third-party request. I mean, part of the fiduciary responsibility of our budget team and our council is to actually sit there and read through all these request sheets. And I have a feeling that most everybody doesn't take the time to read them because there's a lot of information in there. So what we've decided to do is to come up with a sheet that tells us the name of the organization, whether it's a nonprofit organization, the amount requested, the list of services provided to the Oakland residents, and how many residents served last year and total spent on Oakland residents. With just one clean sheet to look and gather this information. It may help us make a determination whether that company remains at 500 or wherever you decide to take it. Any input, discussion?
Don?
Just as a follow-up from the committee, there was some discussion as well about reviewing the list of third-party requests that we have. Some of them deal with different aspects of the budget. There are some that are more town-related than others, and one thought was to put those into a part of the budget which isn't really a third-party request. They're requests that we typically respond to in the positive with certain numbers. There are others that are part of the conservation, economic protection of the lakes. So that's a second pocket. The third pocket is really the nonprofit groups that are out there that aren't part of the town. They support us, they provide services for us, but they are truly a third-party outside group. And then maybe looking at that group separately, and my personal thought, which we haven't really gone into detail, would be that maybe we rank order those based on the information we have, and then perhaps give, as we do now, there are a few that get a little more than others. But maybe we should have some sort of a system to determine that rather than just hit and miss. They come in or we talk and somebody makes a motion to raise one somewhat. So that hasn't been put into effect. It's not recommended at this time, but it's something that I'd like to see the council consider is if we say we're going to fund X amount of dollars for 15 groups, 5 of them might get a little more than the others, 5 of them might get a little less than the others. But there is some, I guess, determination by us which ones we like to support a little more than others. Again, that's my personal recommendation, we haven't talked about that at all, but this is going to give us a basis to try to capture those 15 or so groups, and we get more every year. They get added on, somebody new makes a request. We've always said no to those because we have a set amount of money available. We may add one of those and take out something else, which we don't think is as important. So that's my thinking, but again, this is not the council thinking. We haven't gotten to the point where we're discussing the budgetary numbers. So the first step is to do exactly what Gary has stated. Let's see if we can get the information more consistent. Let's not ask them for things that are gonna just confuse us more. We used to have them come in and present to us. We spend 3 nights talking to, or 2 nights speaking to half one night, and it takes about an hour to an hour and a half each night. We decided not to do that the last year, maybe 2 now, and we're not going to ask them to do that again. We just want basic information. The hope will be next year, if this works, that Gary can send them an email and say, you know, don't send us these used packets. This is the information we want. Maybe put it on the computer, maybe have that tied to our website. So they can go to the website and actually put their application in on the website, again, to make us, and right now Gary, doesn't have to spend as much time dealing with these things that we've all thought, you know, we spend more hours on this particular topic than the rest of the budget. There's no need of it. So we're trying to streamline things, make it more efficient, and there'll be some little thoughts put out that may or may not change this year. But this is the first step to at least addressing the efficiency.
And I just got one more thing to add to this too. I don't anticipate seeing our flowers go away down at Oakland. I mean, the response that we've had from this has been astronomical. And I think that if we ever jeopardize the $1,500 that we're giving to the flower committee to not make that happen, it would be devastating to our downtown. I would like to see, since the flower committee technically is not a nonprofit, and they're kind of an offshoot of the town, I'd like to see that money put into our Parks and Recreation, not Parks and Recreation, but the Buildings and Grounds Department. You know, as things go on, I anticipate at some point we're going to see that that's going to be a project that's going to be taken over by our people. Committees change, they're cyclic, they go up and down. We can't afford to lose that. So I'm going to make that recommendation at some point. I just want you gentlemen to think about it, to take that $1,500, put it into AJ's budget, and that will be dispersed from his budget to buy flowers. That puts us in more of a capacity of being able to go and choose who we buy them from under the guidance of the flower committee, and we might be able to get better deals or whatever. But so I want to think about that. Doug and I have talked about it, and we both think that it might be a smart move just so that we don't jeopardize losing that $1,500, because the third-party request is out there hanging, and you know, it could be chopped at any point in time. And to be honest with you, I don't want to see those flowers go away. They bring too much value to the community. So that's a thought for the future.
In reference to your flowers, not just as in your flowers, you've done a phenomenal job with that and bringing that into the town, and it is beautiful. I get comments on it all the time. So as long as it goes into the Parks and Rec or into maintenance, buildings and grounds, as long as it doesn't get swallowed up by AJ or his crew. Secondly, I don't think there's any questions of where I stand on third-party requests. We have been very consistent. One of my things when I came on years and years ago, we were, as I say, frivolously spending or giving money away. And I'm going to have a hard time not doing anything less or anything more than what we're doing already on giving $500. There's a lot of businesses out here that quote are nonprofit. We have schools around here that are nonprofit, different directions, and they're building huge buildings and they're adding on parking lots and they're building homes, you know, double wide homes, and they're nonprofit. So I know that my stance will stay that we give no more money than $500 to anybody. Not a one of those nonprofit businesses that have requested money from us have gone out of business. And I think that is, and I'll say this on my behalf, and you can do whatever you want on it, but it is our job to watch the pocketbook. And we should not be giving money away to some place that someone doesn't want to give money away to. So by giving them a little bit of money, and again, this is just my personal opinion, and it's just my thought, you know, we get all kinds of third-party requests, and a lot of them, first off, the first thing that people do is they contact their insurance company for money, and then they take as much money from the insurance company. And why are we giving people money that we're collecting from insurance companies? But that's another discussion for another time, so that's just my personal opinion. Ma'am?
Mr. Chairman, I just had a thought some time ago, and I had sent it to Gary, and it's probably been lost in the weeds. It was probably sometime last spring, after the last budget meeting.
You're right, it probably was.
I'm sure it's lost in the weeds. I had made a suggestion, because being a former budget committee member, I know how frustrating the third-party requests are. I absolutely know how frustrating they are. And then I will tell you, having my daughter previously be employed with United Way, I see what the United Way money goes to. So I had made a suggestion that instead of giving individual third-party request organizations to non-Oakland groups, that maybe we make one standardized donation to the United Way, and those people get money from the United Way already. So the onus would fall on them to make that request to the United Way, and they vest everybody. So it takes all that work away from you, and they take care of it. You know, making sure that they're getting the services they're supposed to be doing, and it's done on a percentage basis based on the agency and things like that. I just thought it was an easier way to streamline it if we were going to keep doing it. So that
We've
was
been
just a
beating this up for a long time. You know, just to kind of address what you were saying, Mike, I don't think anybody wants to spend any more money than what we're currently spending. So for instance, if we're spending